International rescue. So, now your members seek further glory in the hunting of ancient treasures. But this time, you will fail. Treasure that international rescue seeks will be mine. They and their expedition will be buried at the bottom of Lake Anasta.
Brains had accepted an invitation from Professor Blakely to join him on an expedition to the sunken temple of Anasta to seek the legendary treasure which was thought to be buried there. I had jumped at the chance of assisting in the search, and we are now aboard Thunderbird 2 on our way to join the Professor. We're nearly at the rendezvous.
And we're well up to time, too. Now look, when we get down there and I drop the pod, you've got to move fast. We mustn't let the Professor know that you're connected with international rescue in any way.
That's right, Virgil. And if he asks, we came out to the Middle East by charter flight.
All set, Brains?
FAB.
Right. Going in to land now.
The giant Thunderbird machine came to rest on the sand and slowly raised itself up on the hydraulic legs. Brains and I transferred to the pod, and by the time the flap dropped, we were ready to go. We were to meet the Professor at a certain map reference and then to travel on to Lake Anasta together. In readiness for the expedition, Virgil had loaded aboard Thunderbird 2 the mobile control room, containing not only our sleeping quarters, but also the radio equipment which would be our only means of communication with base. This was most important, as Lake Anasta is situated in the middle of the desert, miles from anywhere. Brains had also added a small laboratory so that any samples which were brought up could be analyzed on the spot. And, of course, a large supply of diving gear, without which we wouldn't have been able to reach the temple.
Well, I hope our sort of secret landing passed off sort of secretly. And now to meet up with Professor Blakely.
He should be at the crossroads 3 miles along this road. He's coming down the other desert highway.
Hello there. What? Mr. Brains, is it?
Yes, Professor Blakely. That's right.
Glad to meet you at last, old boy.
I'm sure glad to meet you, too, old boy. May I introduce you to my assistant, Miss Tin-Tin Kirano?
Oh, delighted, I'm sure. Charming. Well, Brains, this is the day of reckoning. The proof of the pudding is in the eating and all that. What?
What? Yeah. Well, now, what would you like to do first, Professor Blakely?
Well, I thought we might trot down to the old lake and make an old recce, Let me just pay off this cabbie and I'll be right with you. What's the damage then, old boy?
6 suckers, please, Master. Thank you, Master. Good safari. Oh, yes.
Anasta. It was a beautiful setting. A small lake surrounded by a fringe of palm trees. But what we didn't know was that somewhere in that lovely, cool-looking water, in his mini-sub, patiently awaiting our arrival, sat the Hood.
Excellent. My friends are just in time.
Well, Professor, we're just gonna take our first look at the temple.
Oh, well, jolly good luck.
Just think, we'll be the first people to set eyes on the temple for over 100 years.
Well, 100 years may have affected the stonework, so be careful when you're down there. It could be treacherous.
We will.
Be sure and bring me back something interesting.
Then, after adjusting our breathing gear, we entered the water. It was lovely and cool after the heat of the sun. Down and down we went, keeping our eyes open for the first sign of the temple. Until... there it is.
Now, be very careful, Tin-Tin. Professor Blakely was right. It doesn't look too solid. Now, the problem is, which column contains the treasure?
Let's try that one over there. The stonework did look very unsafe, and what remained of the roof of the temple was supported by a large central column, which we now swam towards.
You know, Tin-Tin, you may be right. This could be the one.
Let's take a sample of it back to the professor.
Say, look there, Professor. What's that?
Mr. Brains, Miss Kirano, I'm glad to say that the Anasta expedition is a success. You have located the lost treasure.
Brains, we must radio Mr. Tracy right away and tell him. That night, after Brains had radioed base, he was sitting on his bed looking at the jewel we had found.
Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. Huh? Hey, what was that?
It was the Hood, in one of his many disguises.
Who are you? What do you want?
As Brains spoke, the intruder's eyes seemed to light up, making him feel strangely sleepy.
Who are you?
Great news, everybody. Brains radioed in last night to tell me that they had traced the lost treasure in the lake.
Say, that is good news. When did he tell you this?
He reported in before turning in for the night. He and Tin-Tin went down to the underwater temple as soon as they got there.
Gee, they must be feeling pleased with themselves.
But far from being pleased with ourselves, the professor and I had been locked in our quarters by our arch enemy with the staring eyes, who then made off into the desert, taking Brains with him.
Tin-Tin! Professor! Oh, it's no use. He must have got them, too. If only I could get to the radio.
What would you do then, my friend? Inform your friends at International Rescue? No, that is out of the question, I'm afraid.
Where are the others? What have you done with the others?
I shall deal with them later. But first, I want some information from you. Where is the treasure concealed in the underwater temple? Answer my question. I saw you come from the temple with some of the treasure. Where is the rest of it?
I don't know who you are, but please let me have some water.
Tell me where the gold is, and then I shall let you and your friends go. It is a simple choice to make.
I don't get it. Brains has never been late before. Let's try again. Brains, are you receiving me? Nothing. Not a whisper.
Well, it's certainly not like Brains to lose contact completely, like this. Father, it's...
Yes, it's the emergency signal. Right, that settles it. You better get out there, Scott. Fast.
Yes, sir.
In a matter of minutes, Thunderbird 2 was airborne with Gordon and Thunderbird 4 aboard. The destination was Lake Anasta, and Virgil was soon well on his way. Meanwhile, Scott and Thunderbird 1, the much faster craft, had reached our camp and was circling overhead when Mr. Tracy called.
Right. Now hear this. Thunderbirds 1 and 2 from International Rescue. I want tri-circuit contact maintained at all times. Is that clear?
Yes, Father.
Yes, Father.
Virgil, what's your ETA?
ETA now 2.5 minutes, Father.
Father.
Yes?
Father, I can see Brains. Down below in the sand.
So?
He's buried in the sand. Up to his neck. I'm going down now.
They have found my victim in the sand. However, I can turn this setback to my advantage. I now have the chance to destroy International Rescue utterly after they have led me to the treasure.
This is Thunderbird 2. Estimated time of arrival now 1 minute.
Oh, hi, Scott.
Hi. How are the invalids?
Oh, very much better, thanks, Scott. What's the news from base?
Well, Father is going to arrange for a helicopter to ship out the professor to hospital, and then he says we've got hot-footed back to base.
Well, I guess he's right. We do seem to have caused a lot of trouble one way and another.
There's just one thing that puzzles me.
What's that, Scott?
After Father had gone off the air, I noticed that the photo alert had been operating.
The photo alert? But that's impossible. Who could be taking photographs of Thunderbird in this area? There's nobody within miles of us.
Oh, of course. That's it. Why didn't I think of this before?
Think of what, Brains? What are you talking about?
I regret to say that this whole expedition has been used by our enemies as a means of drawing international rescue to a lonely spot. We have walked straight into a trap.
That night, after we'd all retired to our quarters and were fast asleep, a shadowy figure, dressed in a black rubber diving suit, entered the room and approached my bed.
Tin-Tin, it's only me.
Brains, what are you doing up at this time of night?
Tin-Tin, I haven't been able to sleep for worry.
What about?
Well, you heard what Mr. Tracy said about the Anasta expedition having caused international rescue a lot of trouble.
Yes, but I don't think he meant we had done it deliberately.
No, but I feel awfully guilty about it. And to cap it all, we've got someone spying on us.
It must be the same person who hypnotized us yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And there's only one place he could be observing us from. The center of the lake. Now, look, Tin-Tin. I've got to try and make amends for all the trouble I've caused.
Brains, you're not going out into the lake tonight.
Tin-Tin, I am. I'm going to see what's down there. Now, here's what I want you to do.
would you keep in touch with me all the time on talkback?
All right, Brains, but I don't like it. So Brains made his way to the edge of the lake and entered the water. But despite all the care he took so as not to wake the others, his presence did not go unnoticed. In his mini-sub, at the bottom of the lake, the Hood was waiting.
So, I have visitors. My little alarm system works.
Tin-Tin, I think I'm onto something. I found a cable leading from this column. And, hey, here's another one.
Brains, I don't like it. I'm going to go and waken Scott and the others.
No, Tin-Tin. There's no need for that yet.
Brains was sure the cables weren't there the previous day when we'd found the temple, so he decided to find out where they led to. But the Hood, who had left the mini-sub via the escape airlock, was waiting for him. He couldn't escape that hypnotic stare.
Oh, those eyes. Those eyes. Those staring eyes.
Brains! Within seconds, he was unconscious. I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen.
Come on. We've got to get down there right away.
Now to get the treasure before his friends find him.
Explosion after explosion shook the temple, bringing down columns and debris all over Brains. But before the Hood had time to find out if he'd uncovered the treasure, Gordon in Thunderbird 4 was speeding down to investigate.
The temple is in ruins, Scott. Brains couldn't have survived.
Well, search the area, Gordon. If he is alive, he's got about 7 minutes of oxygen left.
There's air bubbles coming from under some rubble here. Hurry! Bring the aerostatic lifting kit. It might be Brains.
It's on its way, Gordon.
Virgil, I'm gonna start clearing.
So, at last, now to destroy international rescue and then collect the treasure.
I'm being attacked. There's another craft down here. Keep Scott clear until I call for him.
Gordon wasted no time in re-entering Thunderbird 4. As soon as he was seated at the controls again, the high-speed turbine sprang into life and the chase was on. The Hood was now on the run, twisting and turning, trying to throw his pursuer off. But this was what Gordon had been trained to do, and gradually he began to overhaul the mini-sub until he was in a position to use the Sting missiles.
My motors! They're flooding!
Hey!
The mini-sub sank to the bottom and was shattered by a great explosion, but not before its mysterious occupant had made his escape. Virgil, what happened?
Gordon, what happened? Gordon, do you read me?
I'll explain later. Get Scott down here fast. I'm going after Brains.
Better go and make the professor comfortable, Tin-Tin. The helicopter's due in 3 minutes.
Yes, Virgil.
How's it going, Gordon?
Well, Brains found his treasure, all right. In fact, we're swimming in it. Now we're going to release the lifting kit.
Scott had attached the aerostatic lifting gear to a column which had fallen across Brain's legs. Now, as they operated the inflating mechanism, the balloon began to rise up. Inch by inch, the column began to lift until they were able to pull him clear. Well, I must say I'm glad to be back at base after that little exploit. When Brains has had a few days' rest, he will be fit enough to accompany Professor Blakely to the World Archaeological Museum to hand over the treasure for everyone to enjoy. It's a pity, though, that we were unable to catch the hood, but I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him. And maybe next time we will be more successful. Until next time, then. F.A.B.
Was a coincidence.
What are you talking about, Alan?
It's that tune, Dangerous Game. Just before the transporter crashed, they were playing it on Radio Maxwell.
Well, so what? What's unusual about that? They must have played that tune 1,000,000 times in the radio in the past month.
Yeah, but they were playing it on Radio Maxwell before the other transporters crashed, too. The first one and the second.
What are you getting at, Alan?
Well, Dad, it's simply that each time these transporter planes have been attacked, the Cass Carnaby Five have been giving a live performance of their number.
Live? That was pretty observant of you.
But surely the Cass Carnaby Five can have nothing to do with this business?
Well, there could be a connection, you know. Where are they now?
Right now, they're doing a season at Paradise Peaks.
Hey, isn't that super deluxe hotel high up in the Alps?
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think, Brains?
It's certainly an interesting observation that Alan has made. I'll get John in the satellite to radio us a recording of that Cass Carnaby broadcast and see what I make of it.
Right. Meanwhile, we'll get this hotel investigated. And I know just who to send there.
We are off on a mission again.
Oh, very good, milady. What sort of business will it be this time?
Show business, Parker. I believe you have connections in the theater world.
Oh, yes, milady. Excellent connections.
Wanda Lamour. Well, who the heck's Wanda Lamour, anyway?
She's by way of being a very provocative talk singer.
Look, Nosey, I'd really love to do you a favor, just for old time's sake, but I run a big agency here. I can't send out to Paradise Peaks a singer I've never even heard of.
Now, that is a pity. A real pity. Because I was in the States last week, and I was only saying to Punchy Patterson...
Huh? Punchy Patterson? I thought he was inside.
Punchy? Now I ask you, could you see a bloke like Punchy staying long behind bars? With his muscles?
Nosy, what are you getting at? You didn't tell him I'm over this side now, did you?
Well, to tell you the truth, Maxie, I didn't really know what to do. He was in a very anxious state. Very anxious indeed. Kept on about some unfinished business.
Yeah, well, all right, Nosy, I get the message. You want to do a deal.
That's right, Maxie. You engaged Wanda Lamour at Paradise Peaks.
And you keep your mouth shut. Okay, then. What's this Wanda Lamour like? Is she blonde or brunette?
Good. I think that ought to do the trick. Come in.
Oh, beg pardon, miss, but I was looking for her ladyship.
Come in. So you didn't recognize me. Well, it looks as if my disguise is a success. I should go down well.
Well, they say that if you go down well at Paradise Peaks, you'll go down well anywhere.
Well, I just hope I can keep this pose up long enough. Still, the show must go on.
You see, Alan, repeated melodic patterns from the Cass Carnaby group could be used to impede the efficiency of the aircraft.
But Brains, the transporters each time reported they were under attack. It was the fighters that shot them down.
True, but perhaps the music was affecting their ability to retaliate. However, I agree with you that there could be something in the music. Something like a musical code.
Well, let's try and decode it. Penelope and Tin-Tin will be arriving at the hotel soon. They'll need all the help we can give them.
Her ladyship and Tin-Tin were almost at the hotel. But despite the scenery, Lady Penelope was beginning to have some misgivings about the job ahead.
They weren't joking when they said this was the highest hotel in Europe. It really is a long way up.
Yes, and I do feel rather lost without Parker. I'm beginning to wish we'd taken the Rose with us.
But remember what they said. It's a very long road and a dangerous one.
Perhaps it's just this disguise that's making me nervous.
Cheer up, Penelope. You'll be all right, provided they don't ask you to sing.
Well, I'm just going to plead a little throat trouble.
That should give us a chance to get on with our investigations for a while.
Look, there it is.
Paradise Peaks Hotel.
As soon as they'd introduced themselves and been shown their rooms, they set about looking around. Lady Penelope had glanced at the hotel register when she came in, but there was nothing to arouse suspicion. It was a real classy place, very modern, and the view from the balcony was fabulous. It must have cost a bomb to stay there, but there seemed nothing to indicate that there was any funny business going on. That evening, after her ladyship and Tin-Tin had dined, they sat watching the floor show.
I just can't believe they've got anything to do with this sabotage business. I can't.
The real cause of their mission had just started his act. The Cass Carnaby Five, and they were playing their signature tune, Dangerous Game, the very tune that International Rescue were taking such an interest in. Right enough, the handsome young man at the piano didn't look the type to be mixed up in anything shady, but until Brains came up with the result, who could tell?
Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't he gorgeous?
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
I want you to say hello to our next guest star here at the Peaks. I would ask her to sing for you, but unfortunately, her opening has had to be postponed because of an infection in her pretty little throat. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Miss Wanda L'Amour.
After the show, Tin-Tin went backstage to the star's dressing room.
Gee, Miss Carano, it was real nice of you to come round and see me like this. When did you get here?
Just today. I came with Miss L'Amour.
Oh, yeah. Miss L'Amour. The lady with a frog in her throat.
I must have heard Dangerous Game 1,000,000 times, but it still knocks me cold every time I hear it, Mr. Carnaby.
Well, thanks. You're a bit of a knockout yourself, too, you know. And I wish you'd call me Cass.
All right. Cass. But you must get tired of playing that tune. Don't you sometimes want to vary it, you know? Change the tempo or something?
Well, we leave that to Mr. Olson.
Yeah, well, kids, I hate to break this up, but I have some things to attend to. A couple of points I'd like to raise with you, too, Cass.
So Mr. Olson's your musical arranger?
Yeah. Funny guy, but he sure knows the business.
Funny? In what way?
Well, maybe temperamental would be a better word for it. You know, sometimes he'll make a last-minute change just before we go on the air. Tell you, it drives us crazy. Still, like I say, he knows the business.
Well, it's certainly funny that our paths have never crossed before, Miss L'Amour. I know most of the warblers in show business.
Oh, I've been around, you know. High society keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah, that figures. But you're still a lady of mystery. You've told me everything and nothing. You intrigue me.
Oh, that's enough about me. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Olson. I hear you keep the Cass Carnaby boys on their toes.
What else have you heard?
That you also are a mystery. Tell me, Mr. Olson, what is your secret?
Of my success or of my good looks?
Both, Mr. Olson. Both.
Plenty of beauty sleep, Miss L'Amour. And I'm afraid that's my cue to excuse myself from your very charming company.
Oh, so soon? Good night.
Psst, lady.
Why, Parker. You're a sight for sore eyes. What are you doing here?
I've got a job as part-time bouncer, lady. I thought I might be more useful to you up here at the hotel.
Oh, Parker, we seem to be having very little success. How I would enjoy one of your splendid cups of tea.
Very good, lady. I'll fetch you some up at once.
Just right. Thank you very much, Parker. Now tell me, how are your investigations going?
Well, milady, I did overhear your Mr. Holson talking to Benito, the head waiter. He was saying something about expecting a message tomorrow morning. Back at International Rescue Headquarters, Brains was still trying to solve the problem of the music.
How are the experiments going, Brains?
Well, Mr. Tracy, I've definitely established that there's some kind of electronic pattern in the music.
You mean the music was really used as a code?
Well, it looks quite likely, but I've still got to decode the music before I'm sure there's a code in it.
The next morning, they set out on skis for Olson's chalet, and from behind a bush, saw him sitting at a queer-looking contraption, which was making all sorts of weird noises.
What's that machine he's working at?
I don't know. Some kind of electronic computer.
Neither of them had seen anything like it before. It was like a piano with hundreds of blinking lights on it and sounded like a church organ gone berserk. Then, as they watched, the pattern of the lights began to spell out some words. He was receiving details of the next rocket transporter flight. Something had to be done, quickly. Lady Penelope, using the camera hidden in the handle of her ski stick, took pictures. And then they began to make their way back to the hotel.
Did you get a close-up on it?
I certainly did. Come on. We've got to warn Jeff. I just can't get Brains and Aaron to eat anything today. They say they haven't got time.
Well, Mother, they've just got to get the combination of this code cracked.
Well, it seems to me... Oh.
Go ahead, Penny.
Jeff, urgent news. We've traced the men who've been sabotaging the transporter planes.
Good work, Penny. Brains, are you there? I want you up here right away.
I'm on my way.
Okay, Penny. We gotta work fast.
Right. Now, Tintin's going to show you some of the evidence. Go ahead, Tintin. Now, this, of course, was after that machine of his had done the translating for him.
That's it? Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of it before?
Think of what, Brains? What are you talking about?
That's it. It's a Cham Cham.
A Cham Cham? What's a Cham Cham, Brains?
A Cham Cham is a new electronic machine that is sensitive to ultrasonic harmonics and microtones. Oh, of course. Now that I know the technique they've been using, I'll soon break their code.
Right. We've got to save that next transporter aircraft.
Brains proved from the code that Holson had been getting messages to a foreign power, giving flight plans and times of the rocket transportation. This was how they were able to intercept and destroy them. At Mr. Tracy's command, Scott, in Thunderbird 1, was preparing to leave for Matthews Field to try and convince them of the threat to the next flag. Meanwhile, Virgil and Alan had taken off for Paradise Peaks, with orders to stand by in case of emergency.
All right, Cass. Let's try to tune this way tonight. There's just a few minor modifications.
But, Mr. Olson, I don't see what the point is.
Look, Cass, never mind the objections. When we drew up that contract, you agreed to do it my way.
Yeah, okay then. We'll change the arrangement for the broadcast.
That's my boy. Now, you'd better let the other fellas know. You're on in 5 minutes.
Thanks, Mr. Olson.
Cass, if you must alter the arrangement, you must change it to our way.
Look, Tintin, believe me, if you asked me to play dangerous game on 3/4 time, I'd do it. But I'd still want to know why.
Cass, don't let's go into that again. I can't tell you how I came to be involved in all this. Just trust me, please.
Right, boys, it's nearly time for the broadcast. Now, let's see what's happening at Paradise Peaks. Brains, are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Tracy. I told Penelope how to alter the arrangement to divert those enemy fighters. I just hope they can persuade Cass Carnaby to play it that way instead of Olson's.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to present the Cass Carnaby Five.
Oh, dear. Only Penelope can save us now.
She'd done it. Lady Penelope had talked Cass Carnaby into playing her arrangement of dangerous game. The time had now come for us to scatter, and quick. So while they were still playing, we left to catch the cable car. It was up to Scott now.
This is International Rescue calling Matthews Field Control. A short time ago, we tried to tell you that your transporter craft was about to be destroyed by enemy fighters, but you would not listen.
What's this all about?
I am now to inform you that we have diverted these fighters and they are about to overfly the outskirts of this airfield.
That must be the 3 unidentified aircraft we just received a report about.
Look, Shiloh. Those oval markings. Call action stations.
Yes, sir.
These aircraft must be destroyed.
Yes, sir.
So, International Rescue have done it again.
Oh, dear, I feel dreadful slipping away like this. We haven't even paid our bill.
Well, it's the only way to avoid Mr. Olson.
I wonder where he can be.
Good. The 3 of them. Now to make sure they don't interrupt any more broadcasts.
That's strange. We've stopped. What was that?
I don't like this at all.
Olson! Olson, cut that out!
But Mr. Carnaby was just too late. Paulson had cut almost through the cable. The weight of the car did the rest. With nothing to hold it, we started to roll.
You crazy fool, the cables are free. That car will never stop.
What's that? Hey, just look at that. He's cut the cable.
Thunderbird 2 calling Penelope.
Come in, Penelope.
Loud and clear, Virgil.
Look, Penelope.
You're going to have to give us a hand with this. Let me talk to Parker. Gee, I hope Parker's got a good head for heights.
Virgil wanted me to climb out onto the roof to catch the cables that he lured and attach them to the car. If I didn't, there seemed no hope at all of stopping us. I don't mind telling you, I was petrified. By now we were tearing along at a terrific speed and swaying all over the place.
Right. Lowering cables. Now.
It's a good job there was plenty to hang on to up there. The force of the wind against me nearly pulled me off several times. And every time we passed one of the cable supports, the car jerked violently. It didn't look as though we would make it. There wasn't much further to go.
Parker, use this.
With Thunderbird 2 flying just overhead, the cables were lowered. The terrific slipstream made it difficult to catch them. But with the aid of her ladyship's umbrella, I caught the first one and attached it to the roof. Then, ever so slowly it seemed, I managed to grab and attach 2 more before we were too close. By now, we could see the end of the run and the crowd standing, watching.
He won't make it. He won't make it in time.
Hurry, Parker. Hurry.
Right, Alan. Stand by with retros.
Standing by.
Now!
The terrific jolt as Thunderbird 2 took the strain was too much. I was jerked right off the roof and landed smack in a deep snowdrift. But Lady Penelope and Tin-Tin were saved. The cable car came to a standstill with only yards left to go. Cool. Was I glad that was over. You'll never catch me on one of those things again. Not for all the tea and wormwood scrubs. Mr. Carnaby handed that geezer Holson over to the police. And I'm happy to say that the rocket transporter plane had no trouble getting through after the fatteners had been destroyed. Oh well, back to the pantry, I suppose. Cheerio for now.